July 27, 1943, just after 12:30 a.m. Hamburg, Germany. The city is supposed to be sleeping. Instead, it is sweating. Warm air clings to brick walls and narrow streets. Windows are cracked open. Families lie restless in their apartments, listening to the distant throb of engines that have become too familiar to ignore. Somewhere beyond the dark horizon, the sound multiplies, growing heavier, deeper, until it no longer feels like noise but pressure. High above the North Sea, more than 700 RAF bombers are already committed. Lancaster heavy bombers lead the stream, followed by Halifaxes and Stirlings, flying in tight formation at altitude. Their bomb bays are loaded with a deliberate mixture: high explosive to tear buildings open, incendiaries to finish the job. Wing Commander John Serby checks his instruments as the coast slips beneath his aircraft. Radar operators confirm the path. German night fighters are scattered. Something new has been deployed tonight. Thin strips of aluminum foil spill from bomber hatches, confusing enemy radar screens. Air defenses hesitate. That hesitation will cost tens of thousands of lives. On the ground, Hamburg's air raid sirens finally begin to wail. Too late for calm. Too late for order. People rush into stairwells and cellars. Mothers drag children by the arm. Old men struggle down concrete steps, clutching gas masks and documents they were told never to leave behind. The shelters are crowded already. Some are turned away. Above them, the first markers fall. Pathfinder aircraft drop bright flares that burn white against the darkness, outlining entire neighborhoods with terrifying clarity. The city is no longer hidden. It is presented. The first wave hits hard. High explosive bombs slam into rooftops and streets, ripping buildings apart from the inside. Windows shatter outward. Doors are blown off hinges. Water mains rupture. Gas lines tear free. Fires begin everywhere at once, small at first, scattered and manageable. If anyone was still able to manage them, then the second wave arrives. Incendiary bombs rain down by the thousands. Magnesium sticks bounce along streets and roll into basements, burning at temperatures hot enough to melt metal. Fire leaps from floor to floor, from building to building. Entire blocks ignite within minutes. The air itself begins to move as fires merge. Heat rises violently, pulling oxygen from surrounding streets. Winds form where none existed before. People running toward shelters are knocked off their feet as the firestorm builds its own weather. Flames bend sideways, chasing movement, consuming anything that breathes. Inside a shelter near Hammerbrook, the temperature climbs rapidly. Walls grow hot to the touch. The air thins. Children begin to cry, then stop. Some try to force doors open, only to be met by walls of flame that collapse lungs in a single breath. Above it all, the bombers continue. Crews watch the city transform beneath them. Fires merge into a single burning mass, a glowing vortex visible from miles away. Navigators mark the target has fully engaged. There is no need for correction. Hamburg is now its own beacon. Anti-aircraft guns fire blindly into the smoke, but the barrage is thin and disorganized. Radar stations are overwhelmed. Night fighters fail to find their prey. The sky belongs entirely to the attackers. On the ground, streets vanish. Asphalt softens and sticks to shoes. People collapse from heat exhaustion before flames reach them. Others are pulled into the firestorm winds, lifted and thrown against walls already on the verge of collapse. Entire families die within arm's length of safety, suffocated or burned where they stand. By 2 a.m., much of eastern Hamburg is no longer a city. It is a furnace. Hospitals burn. Fire brigades are erased. Communication lines fail. Command centers go silent. There is no coordination left, only survival, and survival is becoming impossible. From the air, the crews mark the time. Bombs away. Turn for home below them. Tens of thousands are still alive and dying, without any idea that this is only the beginning of the night. By 2:15 a.m., the fire no longer behaves like fire. It breathes heat rising from thousands of simultaneous blazes, pulls air inward with hurricane force. Winds scream down streets at speeds reaching 70 miles per hour, dragging sparks, debris, and people with them. Trees uproot. Roof tiles lift and shatter like throne plates. Anyone still standing outside is seized by the current and slammed into walls already glowing red from internal heat. In the district of Hammerbrook, brick warehouses collapse inward, trapping workers who had fled there believing thick walls meant safety. The oxygen is gone within minutes. Those inside die silently, without flame ever touching them. Elsewhere, the flame finds its way down stairwells and into shelters. Concrete cracks under thermal stress. Metal railings soften and bend. People press together in darkness, realizing too late that underground does not mean protected when the air itself is burning. Above Hamburg, the bomber stream thins as aircraft turn west, but the destruction accelerates below. Hoses spit air. Pumps scream uselessly. Command posts try to redirect crews, then stop transmitting altogether as their buildings ignite at approximately 2:45 a.m. Temperatures in the core firestorm exceed 1,000 degrees Celsius. Glass liquefies. Human skin blisters from radiant heat at distances previously thought impossible. Those who collapse are not always burned. Many simply lose consciousness as their lungs fail, overwhelmed by carbon monoxide and superheated air. Survivors later describe a sound that never leaves them. Not explosions, not screaming. A low, continuous roar like a freight train passing inches away, created by the firestorm's wind feeding itself in one apartment block. A woman forces her children toward the door as the hallway ignites behind them. The metal handle is too hot to grasp. The fabric catches fire instantly. They never make it outside in another shelter. A man breaks through a wall into an adjacent cellar moments before flames engulf the room he left behind. Those who stayed die within seconds. He survives with burns that scar him for life, the only witness left to describe what happened there. At Lufschitz headquarters, officers attempt to assess the situation. Maps are useless. Entire neighborhoods have vanished from recognizable landmarks. Reports contradict each other. Roads marked passable are gone. Hospitals listed as operational no longer exist. By 3 a.m., Hamburg is generating its own weather system. Hot air rises so violently that fresh oxygen is sucked in from surrounding districts not yet burning, spreading the fire outward in all directions. What began as targeted bombing becomes a self-expanding inferno. Streets that escaped the initial waves ignite, without a single bomb falling on them. People fleeing toward the outskirts collapse as the firestorm overtakes them from behind. Those who try to shelter in open parks are exposed to falling debris and embers carried on gale force winds. No direction is safe. In the air, some bomber crews look back despite orders not to. What they see is not a city burning, but a single colossal flame stretching for miles, pulsing like a living thing. Navigators later admit they felt relief turning away, not triumph. Shortly after 3:30 a.m., the last bombs fall. Hamburg continues to burn without assistance. Dawn approaches slowly, but light does not bring relief. Smoke blocks the sun. The sky turns an unnatural brown, then red. Ash falls like snow. Survivors stumble through streets that no longer resemble streets. Past piles of bodies they do not stop to count, because counting would mean stopping by morning. Entire districts are flattened. Over 40 square kilometers of the city are destroyed. Tens of thousands are dead, many never identified. Some reduced to ash where they stood. Officials will later estimate that approximately 50,000 civilians and soldiers were killed in a single night. The number does not capture what the ground witnessed. It does not explain the silence that follows. Or the way survivors move without speaking, unable to process how a city could die before. Sunrise, Hamburg is no longer a functioning place. It is a warning written in flame, as the fires finally weaken late in the morning. The scale of what has happened begins to emerge, not through numbers, through absence. Streets that once held tram lines, cafes, and apartment blocks are now open scars of brick dust and twisted steel. Entire neighborhoods are unrecognizable, erased so completely that survivors struggle to identify where their homes once stood. Landmarks used for navigation are gone. Street signs have melted. Maps are useless. The dead are everywhere. They lie where they ran, in doorways, stairwells, parks, and shelters. Many are burned beyond recognition. Others appear untouched, their bodies intact but lifeless, killed by heat and lack of oxygen rather than flame. Medical teams later note that thousands died without a single visible wound. Recovery crews move cautiously. The ground is still hot enough to burn through boots. Pockets of fire smolder beneath rubble, collapsing without warning. The air smells of smoke, chemicals, and something far worse. They begin counting anyway. Hospitals are overwhelmed within hours. Corridors fill with burn victims, many of them children. Doctors perform amputations without anesthesia. Morphine runs out quickly. Nurses improvise bandages from curtains and clothing scavenged from the ruins. Outside, bodies are gathered in makeshift collection points. Schools, churches, courtyards. Identification is often impossible. Papers are burned. Faces are gone. Entire families are missing with no one left to report them. German authorities struggle to maintain order. Transportation has collapsed. Food distribution halts. Hundreds of thousands are suddenly homeless, wandering through smoke carrying whatever they managed to save. By the second day, mass graves are dug. There is no ceremony. No time. Bulldozers push remains into trenches because decomposition begins rapidly in the summer heat. Officials keep records where they can, but many entries remain blank. Unknown, unknown, unknown. The official death toll climbs steadily, revised upward with every passing hour. 40,000, then 45, then close to 50,000, and even that number is understood to be incomplete. Some bodies are never found, vaporized, cremated where they stood. Others lie buried under structures that will not be cleared for months, sometimes years. When they are discovered later, they are counted as debris rather than people. Across Germany, news of Hamburg spreads fast, not as propaganda, as fear. Cities realize that air raids are no longer about factories or military targets alone. This was something different, something total. The lesson is unmistakable. No city is safe. No defense is sufficient once firestorms take hold. Inside Allied command rooms, analysts study photographs taken after the raid. They mark zones of complete destruction. They note how wind patterns amplified the damage, how building density contributed to the inferno. They write reports using clean language and precise terminology, operational, success, target neutralized. The words do not mention children. They do not mention the shelters that became ovens or the streets where people suffocated standing upright. Strategy does not include screams. Back in Hamburg, survivors begin to leave. Some walk for days. Others ride overcrowded trains heading toward villages that can barely support them. Families separate, promising to reunite later without knowing if later will ever come. Those who remain live among ruins, haunted by silence where a city once breathed. The attack reshapes more than streets. It reshapes thinking. German pilots become cautious. Civil defense protocols are rewritten. Evacuation plans are expanded, though too late for those already gone. The belief that cities can endure sustained bombing dies here, buried under ash dot for those who live through the night. Memory becomes permanent. Years later, they will still wake at the sound of wind, still smell smoke where none exists, still feel heat pressing against their skin when the air grows to still. Hamburg does not recover quickly, and the war does not pause. What happened here becomes a template, studied and repeated, because modern war learns fast and forgets slowly and soon. Another city will face the same sky. In the weeks after Hamburg burns, the silence left behind does not stay empty. It is studied inside Allied planning rooms in Britain. Large war maps are adjusted. Red circles mark urban centers, not factories, not airfields, cities. Analysts point to Hamburg and speak carefully, as if lowering their voices might undo what was proven there. They call it effectiveness. They call it morale, impact. They call it necessity. What they do not call it is experimental, even though Hamburg was exactly that. A demonstration of what happens when incendiaries are layered with explosives, when weather is chosen deliberately, when fire is allowed to feed on itself until it becomes uncontrollable. Firestorm is now a term with meaning. Bomber crews are briefed differently. Not just where to fly, but when. Wind speed matters now. Temperature matters. Building density matters. A city's layout becomes as important as its defenses. The sky has learned how to kill faster. German leadership understands this too late. Emergency measures are ordered. Fire breaks are widened. Anti-aircraft guns are repositioned. Civil defense pamphlets are reprinted and redistributed. They advise citizens to flee city centers when alarms sound, to avoid shelters that lack ventilation, to keep doors open inside buildings to equalize pressure. Advice written in hindsight saves no one already buried. The next raids come anyway, not immediately, not recklessly, but inevitably. Hamburg becomes the proof of concept. What worked there is tried elsewhere. adjusted, refined. Different bomb loads, different approach paths, different cities. Each time, the sky fills again. For civilians across Europe, the war changes shape overnight. The front line is no longer distant. It is overhead. It arrives without warning and leaves nothing recognizable behind. People begin sleeping, fully dressed. Children memorize routes to shelters. Families keep bags packed with documents and photos, knowing they may have minutes at most. Some leave cities entirely. Others cannot. Rail lines are overwhelmed. Housing is scarce. Jobs tie people to targets they know may burn next. Survival becomes a calculation made daily, sometimes hourly. Inside bomber aircraft, crews fly mission after mission. They see the fires from altitude, glowing like molten metal spread across the ground. Some understand what that light means. Others force themselves not to think about it. Orders are orders. When bomb bay doors open, there is no turning back. Years later, veterans will describe the contradiction. Fighting for victory while knowing the cost. Believing the war must end while helping make it more brutal. Carrying memories that do not fade with medals or parades. History will argue endlessly about justification, but numbers remain. Hamburg loses nearly 50,000 people in hours. Tens of thousands more are injured. Hundreds of thousands are displaced. A city is broken so thoroughly that even its survivors feel like ghosts, walking through the outline of what once existed. And yet, the war grinds on, because modern warfare does not stop. Other cities will join it in memory and ash. Names spoken quietly, nights remembered vividly, skies that people still look up at with unease. Hidden. Air power can erase a city. Before the sun sets, it can end tens of thousands of lives without a single soldier crossing a border. And once that truth is known, it cannot be unknown. The sky does not forget. Neither do the people who lived beneath it when it turned into fire.